Hey guys, I'm Arvind from Wacom. For the record, Wacom means Wa is Japanese for harmony, Com means computer. So Rock'em, Sock'em, Wacom.
Hi, I'm Dane Brehm. I'm a local 600 DIT and production technologist here today. So we're here going to talk a little bit about about monitors a little bit, and specifically about the Wacom tablet. So Arvind, can you tell us a little bit basically about the Wacom tablet, like some highlights for it, and then I'll talk a little bit about how we're using it?
Sure. So up here is our Wacom Cintiq Pro 27. It's a 27-inch, true 10-bit P3, 400 bright monitor. And down here, we got a little buddy. It's a 16-inch 4K monitor as well. And think of it as a color-accurate monitor with touch and pen capability, right? So moving from the eras of Blackberries and keyboards to iPhones and touchscreens.
That's exciting. I'm not sure about you, but when I'm on set, traditionally the monitors that we're using, I put big signs that say, touching screen will damage wallet. And what that means is that a lot of folks, we're all very tactile now. We have tablets, we're very tactile, everything. And traditionally our monitors have just been these kind of big screens that have been in front of us for us to look at, right? Televisions, these are very high quality, HDR quality images. But what Wacom has done, and what we've been able to integrate into some of our OnSet DIT carts, dailies, data, that's all kind of wrapped up together, is not only do we have the ability to use it as a touch and be able to use our cursor and move it around where we want to, but we can use it as two separate panels. So what that does is kind of allows us not to be so mouse driven. There's a couple great studies about how many mouse clicks we do a day. I wish I could ask everyone how many they think they do a day. It's really interesting. But it's somewhere between 500 on the low end up to 5,000 on the high end per day. So if you think about eliminating the amount of mouse clicks that you have, or really just how to get from point A to point B, our monitor gives us not only that tablet quality where we can be more tactile, where we can actually manipulate our color with touch, we also have the ability to navigate our operating system using the Wacom below or above and split between the screens, which is a very, very interesting idea, because if you think about the way your eye movement happens, traditionally I'm looking down at my color balls maybe, I'm looking up at my leader, and then I'm looking up at my monitor and I'm doing this like 100 times a day, like do-do-do. And so it gets a little bit difficult when you're trying to color something, you're on a deadline, you gotta get this stuff out. People are waiting on you to get this footage. So that's why we really like the Wacom 27-inch Cintiq Pro, is because it's giving us both SDR and HDR, which means it's Rec 709 or D65P3, which is both HDR and SDR color spaces. But it also allows us to be more interactive and create a look when we're trying to manipulate something and share without having to look away, right? I know that's a really, really small thing, and I definitely appreciate all of that, but having the ability to touch, to color, to move on to the next scene, to tweak what you need to tweak with just a tactile touch, for me as a local 600 DIT, this is kind of the first time where I'm okay if you touch my monitor. I'm okay if I touch the monitor. Yeah, I get crap all over it all day, don't want to eat, touch, that kind of stuff. But it's an idea that we all haven't been really inundated with, and that's what makes it so exciting. So Arvind, can you tell us a little bit more about the user keys and how the extra keys that the Cintiq has that gives the user or the artist more tactile? Maybe speak just a little bit about some of the 3D artists and how they're using it and how this is transitioned into the OnSet Virtual Production.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Dane, for that. So what you don't see here on both the monitors is on the back you have these 4 pistol grip type express keys on both sides, right there. As well as you have these buttons for quickly switching through. So for those who want like quickly program shortcuts, let's say I want to go full screen on Resolve, Control F, right? I can quickly program to one of these, and if a DP comes over to Dane and say, hey, I want to go full screen, just click of a button, it's up, right? In addition to common things people use it for is undo. Like if I'm doing work on an NLE, I typically set my NLE to, I want to do 20 undos as a cap. So I can quickly program it to one of those keys, and it just much more faster and efficient for me to do that. In addition to these buttons over here, while Dane's just checking the cables, allows me to quickly switch through color profiles at the click of a button. So let's say Dane is working on a Rec 709 color space. By default, it's a Rec 709. Now, Dane, hey, a DP comes over, you want to put a tent on top and say, I want to switch to P3, right? I can quickly do that by touching here on Resolve, changing my Resolve to P3, at the same time going back here and changing my monitor also to P3. Right? So this efficiency is what we're hoping for. And where this comes from is really, look at 3D artists, right? They work, or even like compositors and video editors working 12 plus hours a day. They don't like mice because like you want to avoid RSI. So we provided them that technology to make them more efficient and reduce RSI, but now we're able to bring that same efficiency improving tools to on-set workflows such as DITs.
So it really shows, how versatile this Cintiq Pro is in comparison to all the other options we have for our monitors and what we decide to use. I like to use them in a combination with other monitors. I might have an additional color critical, a high-end Sony HX310, or a small HD 27-inch OLED that will be for client. I mean, it's really nice if I have this giant LED wall, but not going to put you guys through that, is having that ability to touch and to move your data and get through your workflow without having to, like, is my mouse working? But more importantly, it's being able to take things like the pen, for example. So on one of my OnSet carts, which is more of, I say, a traditional cart, which is right here. Audience, not going to be able to see that, sorry. But I traditionally have to use a mouse, or I use a Cintiq 16-inch to be able to navigate through my live grade tools on just a little bit of a touch, because I'm just trying to tweak the look for the cinematographer or the director or whoever might be working. But in this particular case, you have the ability to use both of these, and also, as Arvin mentioned, you have the ability to use the quick keys on here. So you could, if, this is, like I said, kind of a new concept. People aren't really used to this. 3D artists are very used to this because they need to be on top of what they're looking at and getting close and finite. But what this allows us to do is gives us the ability to go between all of our looks and keep it touch, which we're a tablet generation, right? It also gives us the ability to tweak using both hands at once. So you can be even more efficient when it comes to coloring and trying to get your deliverables sent out.
Let me ask you a question. So think about the evolution of DITs, right? When DPs moved away from film to digital, and they started having colors on set, they kind of lost their fear about, I no longer own the look. I want to sit down with the colorists. And that evolved into having DITs on stage who are now the cinematographer's right hand. And talk about like how much time during the day do you have to spend with a DP on set? And what type of efficiency is important for you there?
As a DIT, I'm a very essential part of the process, but ultimately I don't want to interject myself into that process until the lighting's done, the background's set, we have the actors in place or stand-ins or everything, and getting that final point, that takes a lot of time for the cinematographer, and the cinematographer might be saying, I'm ready in 10, I'm ready in 5, I'm ready in 2 minutes, so that we can get talent over there. And so when they hit that 2-minute mark, that's my time. I get 2 minutes with the cinematographer to tweak anything that we have lit, we have created and put all in place so that we have that time. So time is really, really, really limited, because if I spend more than 2 minutes doing my job, or 5 minutes, there's a lot in the background that happens, then that means that our day takes longer. Our cinematographer is not getting that time back. I'm not getting that time back. And we all want to get done, in an 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour day all in once. So time is really, really important. And if you think about reducing just tenths, right? Let's talk about racing for a second. If you're reducing tenths, imagine if you're doing that on set with your monitoring, with your work, and what ultimately your workflow is going to be. That becomes really important, and you're giving that time back to yourself. Also, it means you might be able to get home earlier, or you might be able to complete more work in the same amount of time and just be more productive ultimately, which I think a lot of us enjoy productivity that doesn't force us to have to go extra harder in another direction. We want to pull back and be more productive if we can. So that's why I've really adopted this in kind of this new school way of applying to DITs on set. So that is a really important aspect of what the color is for a cinematographer and for a show, is being on set and be able to tweak that look. Not only can we switch this over, this is HDMI, we can switch this over to look at a live image, and then we can switch back over to our Resolve. There's a lot of software tools that folks can use. In addition to that, we use LiveGrade. And so we're adding that on top. So you have so many more functions as a DIT on set. And so you really start to bring some of that colorist to it, and you get what we call finished dailies. Now, take that one step further and add virtual production. Virtual production is, not only are you shooting to as close to final pixel as possible, you're getting 95% of your look. You now can add in your grade on top of that and show directly to the cinematographer, the director, don't want to break union rules here, but you want to show everyone you can on this screen, and it's so wide and it's so large, it's easier for older eyes to see as well, and that's something to be considered. So, Arvin, I think that's kind of like where I've been the most happy with having this on set. Can you talk a little bit about the pen?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So, in addition to having a touch capability, right, the precision of the pen is very important, especially if you want to do minute details like I'm going to go in here, I'm going to look at my vector scope. Or if I want to very slightly change the grade, the precision of the pen, my fingers are fat and oily, right? That's good for if I want to go click on a node and reset the grade. But if I want to go very finely tune the curve, the pen is important. But now, let's say I want to come in, I want to do selective mask, right? You come in here really quick, paint a mask on the character, right? Add a node, I'm going to add a color corrector node, and there you go. Paint a mask, and let's start changing the offset within that very specific space. So it's fast. Imagine how much time this would have taken for me to do it using a mouse and a keyboard, right? I didn't have to touch my keyboard, I didn't have to touch my mouse. The buttons on the pen allowed me to just program a shortcut to add a node, quickly paint a mask, and do the offset. Cool. So the limited time we have left, right, Dane? So let's take this a step further. At the end of the day, after you're done shooting, you're a DIT, you're in charge of not only right-handed cinematographer, but managing the data. Taking the data and taking to a colorist lab, a dailies colorist, how do you envision this setup making their workflow more efficient, also to get faster and more accurate dailies back to the DP the next day?
Well, depends on how everything's broken down. I would say, what I like about this, and just to step away from DaVinci here for a second, one of the products that we use a lot is Hedge, but really it boils down to being able to interact with our data, right? Right now, if I have to go a mouse, I'm kind of searching for my mouse, whatever it may be. In this case, I can just go directly to my content, all right? And I can share that, and I can move it across. This is the ASC STEM content. So I'm able to do that really quickly. I can just touch with my finger, put that on there. But when it comes to sharing with the dailies colorist, or in virtual production, you have this kind of ability now where you have everything plugged in, all of your cameras, you have all this infrastructure, so you have the ability to grade live with the cinematographer for lighting, but also you can use the same panel. You can also have a dailies colorist, or in some cases, a finishing colorist right there with you. So you all can have a common panel from which to work from, but you also have the ability to share that grade, because they're really going to take that to the last few percentile of what that looks going to be. You know, taking down this, working on skin tone, those are really important things. But in virtual production, we've done so much to get this all the way to the finished look, that taking it to that last 2 or 3% with the dailies, or even the finishing colorist, they're on set or near you in a good environment on set, it makes a huge difference in the pipeline. And that creates even more efficiency, both in movement, but also in what you're trying to convey with your look and the language of the movie or TV show or commercial that you might be working on.
Thank you, Dane. Missy, do you have time for questions, or?
All right, well, they're going to be around here all day. So if you want to come up to them personally and find out any more information, these guys have been absolutely amazing partners. Both of you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yet again, I'm Dane Brehm, and this is Arvin, and we're with Wacom and Cintegral. Thank you so much for listening.